Road Rants, Episode 6. Arguing someone into what you know about and to comply with it and to act on it is damn near impossible because of the cloud of awkwardness, resentment, misgivings, outright defiance. I've been plenty guilty of it. Continue the conversation for the next 5 minutes or for the next 5 months because that conversation is not over until a person arrives. If you learn this first lesson, you will see an improvement even if you and I never speak. You are using that life preserver as a stepping stone to get into the lifeboat and onto the ship and onto the shore. That is the miracle of what we do. It's not the healing power of innate intelligence that does the trick. It's this, to change someone's point of view in such a way that you don't drown them in the process. At least they're floating and not drowning. It's a lot harder to find drowned dead bodies than it is to find ones floating looking for a lifeboat. Welcome to Road Rants Radio. I'm Frank Sardella, and I'm your host of this show, where I get on my soapbox and rant about stuff that's going to help you expand into your community and expand your profession. Get ready for a bit of tough love and learning. Join me now. Yes, yet again, here I am, not going away. Just like I promised in the last episode and the last 4 episodes before that. I'm not going to go away because I don't think there will ever be a time where there's nothing to rant about in our profession here. And I have a biggie today to go over with you. Definitely fired up about this particular subject. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about arguing people out of what they think and attempting to get them to comply with what you want them to do by so doing. In other words, arguing people into what you want them to do. Let me just tell you outright, right here, if you haven't figured it out by now, and I get the idea that you haven't by the fact that you keep doing it, despite any lack of results you may have experienced. But let me just tell you outright, it's damn near impossible. And this is something that pisses me off. Now, I admitted in many other episodes to having been guilty of same, and I have in the past. I, like you, have entered a much higher plateau of logic, of knowledge on this subject and on many other subjects, and as such have attempted to argue other people into that logic in non-recognition of the fact that it was a climb to get to that plateau and that other people are not on that plateau with you. They're not on a par with you. So just the very premise of arguing someone into what you know about and to comply with it and to act on it is damn near impossible because they're not on that plateau. They have to have achieved that plateau. And if you look at how you achieve this plateau, you will realize you yourself were not argued into it. Rather, you discovered it for yourself. And on top of that, you discovered it out of a curiosity that you had, without which you would not have been interested enough to find out what you now know. And you would not find yourself standing at the elevation you currently stand. You'd be right back where everyone else is. And that's the subject of today's Road Rants. Road Rants Radio is not here, may I remind you, to let me vent about things I'm pissed off about. Road Rants Radio is here for me to make some sense out of these things and give us some logic to apply to it so we can start winning. And that's what I'm going to take up with you today. Let's talk about this argumentative fetish that you may have. I want to talk to you about debating with people. And I'm going to start with an example, and I'm going to bring it right home to you. Let's get off the subject of chiropractic, of wellness, all of that altogether. And I want you to think for you specifically in your life. And I want you to remember a time when you not were in an argument, but when you lost an argument. When someone convinced you were wrong. Can you remember a time? Now, I know that's going to be pretty hard, right? Because you're right all the time. I know, this was hard for me to do when I did it. Now, I know that's going to be hard for you to do. But it's well worth its weight in gold if you can do it. So remember that time. How? I want you to think, how did you feel? I want you to recall that feeling. I want you to experience it as if it's happening right now. What feeling did you have in the pit of your stomach, in the back of your mind, in your heart? How did you feel at that point? Even if you were in total agreement with the person that convinced you. Did you feel as enthusiastic as you did when you started your side of the argument with the person, when you were engaged in the heat of that argument? Did you feel as passionate about your side now being the same as the side of your opponent? What were the feelings did you have? Did you feel a few misgivings? Did you feel a little resentful? How about non-compliant? Have you ever been convinced you were wrong about something, and because of that, be inclined not to participate, not to comply? A little defiant, perhaps? There are a lot of things that are mixed up with this, and however subtle. But the point is that these things do occur, and they create a problem. Have you ever lost an argument with someone and thereafter felt a little awkward toward them? Now I want you to take a look at the scenario that you're looking at, and I'm willing to bet you're thinking of an argument with somebody with whom you're intimately connected. And I'm here to tell you that's an easy one compared to a total stranger. Have you ever had an argument with a total stranger? Think about the awkwardness afterward. There is awkwardness. Losing an argument is not fun. I'm in a situation right now where someone outright lost an argument with me. And it was a heated argument, too. It wasn't on this subject. It was about something completely innocuous in this space. But right now, this person's avoiding me a little bit. It's awkward. So I want you to think of that, because when you argue someone out of something, particularly in this area, even if you succeed, which is a minority, a gross minority of the time, there's going to be awkwardness. And that person is going to be way less likely to comply with anything you suggest or recommend, which is what your intent is to do, to get them to do something sane and rational about their health, about their well-being. And you will not be able to convince them because of the cloud of awkwardness, resentment, misgivings, non-compliance, outright defiance. That is the problem that you face in trying to enlighten people. That is the entire premise of this episode of Road Rants Radio. This is why I'm on this soapbox today. And I'm here to tell you, I've been plenty guilty of it in the past. In the distant past now. It's been a while. But you know what? I can even remember how awkward that was. I can even remember how frustrating that was. I know how frustrating it is. It is frustrating. Because you really have a lot of passion behind your argument, and this isn't about proving someone wrong. It's about saving lives. Literally. In my case, it was about saving a life. And that's what we're up against here. So we can't afford to lose those arguments. So we're going to avoid getting in them in the first place, because the awkwardness will prevent people from ever coming to see you, from ever following up. But if you do otherwise, and you enlighten and you have patience and you allow them to have their own viewpoint, and you don't argue them out of it, and you don't try to make them completely 100% wrong for what they believe in or what they found out, you have a shot at continuing the conversation, and that is desperately very much what you need to do. Continue the conversation for the next 5 minutes or for the next 5 months. Because that conversation is not over until a person arrives in your clinic space, in your office space, in your online space. When that person arrives there and is ready to find out more about their condition, notice I didn't say treat or completely handle their condition, but find out more about their condition. When they're ready for that next step, that is when you have them right where you need them to be, to start on the road to being a lifetime well-being, referring others, patient, client, member, whatever it is in your space. And that's what I'm here to talk about. So let's first get off the idea we're going to argue anyone up the ladder to the plateau that you're on. I use the word ladder very deliberately. My program is called the Lifetime Patient Ladder and the True Screening Process. Those are coined phrases by me, by my experience of having screened thousands, literally thousands of people and having gotten them to comply, show up, arrive, be interested, knowing full why they're doing what they're doing, and becoming a much better quality patient and much more likely to become one in the first place. That is because of what we're talking about here. But there is a ladder they need to climb. Now, you are welcome to learn that from me at any time. I would love to teach you about the Lifetime Patient Ladder. Ask any one of our active clients not only how awesome it is, but how much I love to talk about it and how much time I will spend with you helping you master it. And I have another ladder called the Screening Ladder, which is actually an evolution in sequence of sort of states you need to get people into, things you need to accomplish with them to get the end result of getting them on that par with you, up there on that plateau, climbing that ladder. And you're more than welcome to learn that at any time. But if you learn this first lesson in today's Road Rant, you will be well on your way to doing that, and you will see an improvement even if you and I never speak. And you can mark my words on that, and you can quote me on that. But I don't want you to believe me on that until you go out there and you try this for yourself. And the first step is to stop arguing, stop debating people out of what they know, and start letting them keep what they know. They cherish it. That is what you need to know. They cherish what they found out. Now, you may think that's stupid. You who knows all on the subject. You who are very secure in your knowledge. You who are not fearful of the future because of what you know. You who knows so much that you've all but guaranteed a healthy, prosperous future for yourself. But now let's look at somebody who's not on that plateau, who doesn't have that knowledge. You know what? I have the luxury of remembering, as hard as it is, 22, 23 years ago at this taping, of not having been on that plateau and being fearful of the future. When you're fearful, you will look for anything to cling to. And that is the first thing you must understand about not arguing someone out of what they have found out. Whether it's wrong, stupid, or otherwise. They will cling to it as a life preserver. It's the only thing keeping them going at this point. And you're trying to chop them off at the knees when you debate them. Are you starting to see that there's more to it than just arguing someone out of this? Are you starting to see that the reason I'm pissed off is not because you argue with people and I'm trying to say that you're a bad person for doing so? I'm trying to show you an expanded view. I'm trying to get your attention off yourself for a moment and onto the other person to say, look, what makes this person tick? What makes them tick right now is they had a problem. They did their best to solve that problem by finding out all they could about it. And even if they found something wrong about it, they are clinging to it, and it is keeping them afloat, at least for the time being. And you need to let them continue to float in that raft. And instead of pushing their head under the water, you need to extend a hand to get them from that preserver into your lifeboat. And I want you to think of that analogy. I think it will be a better analogy for you than pure stupidity. I want you to really take that analogy to heart, because when you attack that, you are taking their life preserver away and you are holding their head under the ocean water until they drown. That is literally what's happening. But you can get a new look out of this as well. By extending that hand, you are using that life preserver as sort of a stepping stone to get into the lifeboat and onto the ship and onto the shore. That when it's done right, is the miracle of what we do. It's not the healing power of innate intelligence that does the trick. It's this right here. Now, I know you went to school for a very long time to learn what you do, but it is the minority of the battle. That's cakewalk compared to what we're talking about here when you need to change someone's point of view in such a way that you don't drown them in the process. So let's look at what they found out as a positive. At least they're floating and not drowning. It's a lot harder to find drowned dead bodies than it is to find ones floating looking for a lifeboat. How's that for an analogy? That is what you need to find a way to do. How do you do it? I have lots of ways to do it. Write me and I will let you know all about the different programs I have, all about the different modules that you can learn about, the lifetime patient ladder, the screening ladder, the true screening process. I'll teach it all to you. But right now what you can do is figure out ways to let people keep those things that are keeping them afloat by just saying, wow, I understand. I can really see why you did X, Y, and Z. I see what you found out there. Letting them know that it's okay that they went and researched. Letting them know that you understand they're a cut above most people who don't even go that far. And letting them know that by not arguing out of it. And you know what? That could be just changing the subject to something related, but moving on in the subject with more questioning. Okay? Let me explain to you what I mean real quick, because that's what I'm going to leave you with today. I want you to actually just give them what they have. Let them keep it. Don't try to take it away from them. Totally understand that's what you found out. Or show them your understanding. I see. So it said X, Y, and Z. I get that. All right. And that led you to do X, Y, and Z. I can see that. All right. Good. So you made sense out of it. And that's very validating to people. Now guess what? You start a very curious line of questioning with them from here on forward about their condition, and you are going to do something very interesting. You don't have to talk to people and tell them stuff to get them interested. In fact, you will disinterest people the more you talk to them. But the more questions you ask, the more curiosity you will raise. I'm not going to give you all the details behind it. That's part of my entire coaching program. But I just want you to go out and give that a try and see for yourself if that doesn't work. And when it does work, I want you to tell me that it did, and I want you to ask me why. And I will happily do that for you. But this will be a game changer for you. Please, please, for all of our sake, for the sake of the health of the world, who are relying on us. There are no other people. It's us, folks. For their sake, don't take away their life preserver. Do not argue them or debate them. Since when have you argued anyone or debated them into doing anything that you've ever wanted? And if so, not resentfully, with misgivings, defiantly, non-compliantly. That's the point of today's Road Rant, folks. Please take that to heart. Please let me know. Please write me, frank@screeningexperts.com. Let me know your wins and successes with this. I want to know. And I want to know what your difficulties are, too. I want you to write in as well. There will be future episodes of Road Rants Radio based on your very questions. That's how I dictate this. It's not just my experiences at screenings, which I'd be more than happy to share with you as well. I look forward to hearing from you. That's it for this episode of Road Rants Radio, folks. Please continue to tune in. Listen to the episodes. Go over to our sister podcast, willworkforpatients.com, and make sure you're tuning in to listen to our guests and all of the great information you get over there. I don't get on my soapbox and yell at you there, too, so it's a little bit more pleasant. But this tough medicine here, I think, though hard won, you will find is just as valuable, if not more. I want to thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in another episode of Road Rants Radio. So long. Hey, if you like this Road Rant, hit me up at frank@screeningexperts.com and give me some feedback. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Road Rant Rants Radio is a Broadcast Wellness Network production brought to you by Screening Experts. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Associate editor Larissa Jeffries. Musical score copyright 2018 Frank Sardella ASCAP. For more information, visit willwork4patients.com/roadrans.